Hello everyone! So for my presentation, I decided to do selection tools for manga and anime, and I couldn't really do manga by itself without including anime, and you will see why. So what exactly is manga? Manga are Japanese graphic novels that are read backwards or right to left, basically reading from the back of the book, starting from the back of the book. As you can see in the panel here, you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the flow of it. That's how it's read, different from regular graphic novels. Also, manga are not colored, they're actually just black and white. You really don't have any color at all unless they provide like 2 pages of some kind of extras. You'll see that occasionally in mangas, but it's literally black and white. Manga is read by all ages in Japan, it's really popular in Japan, and we have also seen an increase of mangas added into our library collections and increase in sales of manga. And manga, the term word just means cartoons or comics. So what is anime? Anime are animation shows that originally come from Japan. Once they get to the US, they are dubbed with American voice actors. The reason I included anime is because anime is based on manga, or it can also go the other way around, where the anime gets made into a manga. But anime can also just be a standalone. Some examples of animes from the late 90s include Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Dragon Ball Z. I, for example, did not know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was considered an anime. I thought it was actually an American cartoon show, so that was pretty surprising as I grew up and found out that it wasn't an American show. So the factors that go into play when selecting manga, you need to just consider, was it previously published in a magazine or was it online? Have people read this? Will it, so basically, was it available to the public? Have the public been aware to it? So that type of thing would be considered when selecting manga. Also, the style of the manga. Manga are meant for all ages. It's available for all ages, and there's a lot of different styles of manga. There's a lot of genres, as I will show in the next slide. Also, it's very time consuming. These mangas are not published so fast. They are published like 4 to 5 months after one another. Just depending how fast they get released in Japan. For example, if we get a popular manga, let's say its original date in Japan was 2013, we wouldn't get it till a year after, and then we would wait several months to release the next volume so that we don't catch up to the Japanese original kind of release of the volumes. Also, they take up a lot of space. As you can see here, your Naruto. Naruto is composed of 71 volumes. It just recently ended last year in 2015. It was a very long manga. I actually read it all, but as you can see in the picture, the the thicker ones, the ones without the numbers, those are actually 3 volumes into one, which is what they've recently been doing in the last year or two, so that they can create more space. So you need to consider when you're gonna collect the series, you need to note that some of them might end up being 20 or more volumes. Also, to consider is budget. You really want to consider if you're going to buy all these volumes. Manga prices used to start off around $9.99 or $9 or $10, but now they are kind of going up around $12, $13 now a volume. But so you need to consider, are you going to be buying all these volumes? Also, replacing the volumes. If one gets repaired or lost, are you willing to replace those volumes? As you can see in this, the libraries have been also replacing their manga with thicker volumes now because it does lessen the space. Here we have 2 basic and the 2 most popular genres in manga, and they are shonen and shoujo. Shonen is geared for boys who have an interest in adventure and action. Some popular titles in the shonen genre include Attack on Titan, Noragami, and One Punch Man, as you can see below. Even though they are geared for boys, a lot of girls also take interest in these as well. So shoujo, on the other hand, are geared for girls and are romance-driven stories. Some popular titles in the shoujo genre include Say I Love You, Missions of Love, and Your Lie in April. And surprisingly, there are also a number of boys who actually enjoy reading these types of mangas. There are a lot of genres in manga, but these are your most basic genres out there. and your most popular ones. So what about the selection of anime? As I mentioned earlier, anime is based on the manga most of the time it is, unless it's a standalone. But some things to consider when selecting anime is the cost of the anime. They are not cheap. They are actually pretty expensive. The starting price ranges around $25 up to even $100. The reason for that, and that's one of the next factors, is the format of it being released. Will it be just a DVD set or a Blu-ray set? But what I've seen mostly now happening is that it's Blu-ray and DVD combined together, and that's why it's so expensive, and because they're being imported from Japan, of course. Also, another thing to consider when selecting anime is the popularity of the show. Will it circulate in your library? That's a big factor to consider, because you don't want to spend so much money on something that's not going to be circulating as often. Also, when you're selecting your anime, you want to be aware that if you are selecting this, will you add it to your regular collection? Will you do a separate section for it? Because, for example, if your collection of DVDs is about 5,000, out of those 5,000, you might have 500 anime DVDs. You don't want to interfile them with just regular DVDs when someone just wants to quickly browse through all your anime collection. So that's something to consider when selecting your anime. Will you create a whole separate section? I have seen where it's separate, but I have seen where it's interfile, and that can be really hard to do because people just want the anime. You also have to note that these DVDs are not rated. They don't have a rating, so you can't say this is for teens or this is for adults or something like that. You have to just really know the anime yourself, because they don't have a rating because Japan has different ratings compared to the US, so that's why there's a non-rating on it. Also, dub versus sub. Sometimes they can just be released in dubbed with the American voice actor, but not so much now, because of the reason that hardcore fans actually prefer the sub with the original Japanese voice actors. So I wanted to quickly point out a service that's available to both schools and libraries, and that's called Crunchyroll. It's actually the most popular streaming service for anime. There's actually no fee to subscribe, but you do have to submit a feedback form about 3 showings you do at a school or library on a quarterly basis. The subscription includes access to over 100 anime shows. It's also ad-free, so there are no ads while showing the shows, and you also get access to 1080p. The anime on the site is actually mostly subbed, meaning that the voice actors are in Japanese. You can find some dubbed, but most of the time they will just be subbed. So make sure to check it out. It's great, it's free. There's also a lot of news updates and more information on anime on this site. Some resources for your manga here. Graphic Novel Reporter. It's mostly based on reviews on mangas. It's my first time seeing it. I didn't really think it holded a lot of classic mangas, not much newer ones, but make sure to click that. There's the ALSA, the Library Association, where they list your top graphic novels. As you can see, in 2014, Strobe Edge made it to the top 10 graphic novels, so that's really nice. Your New York Times bestseller shows you a weekly sales of the top and manga being sold. Manga Blog has manga reviews and news. You have a guide there for manga. It's a little bit outdated, 2007, but it holds a lot of classic mangas and current ones, and some great reviews. You have Viz Media, Kondasha, and Yen Press. These are all manga and anime publishers of mangas, so they have news and release dates of the mangas. So some resources for selecting anime. If you're really not familiar with any anime, I would start out with My Anime List, only because it's a fan-driven base site where it provides information about the anime and manga, and it provides ratings, and it lets you know more detail about the anime. So that's a way to get familiar with the anime. Anime News Network provides a lot of updates on upcoming manga, anime reviews and news updates. Great source for real updates. And then you have your Amazon, and then at the bottom you have Viz Media, Funimation, Sentai Filmworks, Aniplex, and Hulu. Viz Media, Funimation, and Hulu provide streaming, but these are the big publishers of anime DVDs and Blu-rays. So here are some of my recommendations of some manga books that I've read. If you click on the book, you'll be directed to a Barnes & Noble's link where you can read the summary of the manga. They all actually have an anime show as well, except for Dawn of Arcana and LDK. LDK though does have a live adaptation film in Japan. These are all fairly new manga series within the last 2 or 3 years. Overall, there is a lot more to consider when selecting manga and anime, and the most important factor to consider when selecting manga and anime is who is doing the selecting. Is that person familiar with manga and anime? I've seen some libraries that hold a great anime collection and manga collection, and other libraries that do not, but I feel that is because they are not aware of what to select. I have seen also other libraries include more fairly newer series, which is great seeing them out there getting there as well. I hope more people can be more aware of manga and take some time to read some. There are a lot of manga series that are geared for adults, but manga can be enjoyed by all ages. And that concludes my presentation.